Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. This week, all of our meditations start with different teachers, not one teacher for the whole week. Today, the quotes are from one teacher specifically. For today, our teacher is Mark Epstein. Really love his work. So let's dive right into the message from Mark Epstein. Somebody, a very good morning. Leanne, a very good morning. Happy to see you all here. Let's get into it. Mark Epstein says, the freedom that the Buddha envisioned does not come from jettisoning imprisoning thoughts and feelings or from abandoning the suffering self. It comes from learning how to hold it all differently, juggling them rather than cleaving to their ultimate realities. Michelle, a very good morning. Awesome seeing you. Hello. He says there's no way to freedom by trying to get rid of the parts of ourselves that we don't like. He says the route to freedom is figuring out how do we hold these parts of ourselves in a different way. To me, this realization years ago is a real paradigm shift. While you are rejecting any part of you, you will not be whole. Period. The road to wholeness is through finding acceptance for every single part of you, especially the worst parts, the parts we struggle with the most. Maggie, a very good morning. Awesome seeing you. Nothing inside of you is bad. Every part of you has in some way just been trying like hell to help you cope. Another thought from Mark Epstein says, the willingness to face traumas, be they large or small or primitive or fresh, the willingness to face everything is the key to healing from them. They may never disappear in the way that we think they should, but maybe they don't need to. Trauma is an ineradicable aspect of life. We are human as a result of it, not in spite of it. I really love that last sentence. We are human as a result of our traumas, not in spite of them. Humanity has been shaped by the collective trauma of humanity. Trauma does not just happen to a few unlucky people. It is the bedrock of our psychology. Death and illness, for instance, touch us all. But even the everyday sufferings of loneliness and fear are traumatic in and of themselves. In his book, The Trauma of Everyday Life, Mark Epstein uncovers the transformational potential of trauma, revealing how it can be used for the mind's own development. My wish for you is freedom. The kind of freedom that you only realize when you notice that old triggers just don't have the same hold on you like they used to do, because you're holding all of this in a new balance, in a different way. So our journey today is called A Sense of Self. It is an opportunity to invite some of the things that are below the surface, to invite them to come and sit with us. In this very simple example, we'll use emotional aspects. We'll use sadness and anger and fear and call them, I think rightly so, some of our inner children. We all have a little bit of work to do in those parts of us as children that might have needed something, some attention they didn't get. Charlene, a very good morning. It's good to see you. You are just in time. So if you're ready, we're going to close our eyes, float away, and invite our inner children to come and sit with us for a conversation. You can close your eyes, and here we go, starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. A deep breath in and out. A deep inhale. And let it go. Deep breath in. And out. One more big breath in. And let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. With every exhale, soften. Every time you breathe out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and drop your head. With every exhale, feel yourself lead your body to a deeper sense of softness than the one before. While you continue your full body breathing, we are inviting our inner children to come and sit with us. Imagine a picture like a first grade teacher inviting the children to sit on the mat with her. Sit around her feet. We're going to have a chat. The very simple examples we're using in this meditation are sadness and anger and fear. If you could imagine the part of you that sometimes feels sad, if you could imagine the part of you that sometimes feels angry, or the part of you that sometimes feels scared. While we're calling them today inner children, you don't have to imagine them as children, but we often do. Whatever image you get of them is quite all right. While you continue your full body breathing, invite them to breathe along with you. Invite them to rise and fall in their own breathing rhythm. I am going to ask you to see if you can form a picture of what these parts of you might look like. Please remember, it's not important that you do form a clear picture, but it's super helpful to be open to seeing. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, helping our bodies stretch, adjust, and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. And these inner children, they are invited to stretch along with us. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward. Roll out your neck muscles, going forward and to the left, and also forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big circles, nice and slow. Take a deep breath in. And as you release, focus for a moment on your spine. Lean your upper body over to the left, and also lean your upper body over to the right. Feel yourself leaning into your back muscles. Gently, gently. Find where the edges are and gently lean into those edges. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened our bodies into a state of presence as much as we are able to, for this moment at least, we can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. If you don't have the time to sit for the whole meditation with us, this is a very good place to stop. But if you are here for the whole journey, we'll take the next few big breaths together. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. as you release, feel into your body. Feel how softness slowly settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling. Feel your body slowly softening. And feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath. But hold it only for as long as it feels easy. Followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, bring your attention back to these inner children we invited. They're sitting at your feet. Invite them to take a deep breath along with you and dive all the way in. Take your next big breath. These inner children we invited are all invited to speak. Let them know that you're here to listen. We're turning our attention first to sadness. This would be the part of you that sometimes feels really sad. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, ask sadness to speak. Ask to be reminded of how sadness speaks within you when you feel sad. What are the words, the sentences that come up when you feel sad? Notice specifically the repetitive nature. What is being said again and again and again in sadness while you feel sad? Ask sadness to speak and remind you. Take your next big breath. Turn towards sadness. Be open to seeing what this part of you might look like. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, we are asking sadness a question. Can you ask the question and not use your brain to try and think of an answer, but just ask the question, let it go, and see if an answer rises from a deeper place. So as you take a look at sadness, as you get ready to take a deep breath and dive in, the question is this: say, sadness, when you feel so sad, what is it that you are afraid will happen? Take your next big breath. Thank sadness for being brave enough to be here, to be seen and to be heard. We turn our attention then to anger. Open yourself to the possibility of finding an image of what this part of you that sometimes feels angry might look like. And as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, ask anger to remind you of what it feels like to be angry. What does it say? What are the thoughts, the words, the sentences on repeat when you feel so angry? Ask anger to speak and give yourself a reminder. Take your next big breath. Again, try and get a good look at anger. And as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, speak to anger. Ask this question, say, anger, when you feel so angry, what is it that you really want for me? In that moment, what is it that you really want for us? And just listen. Take your next big breath. Thank anger for being here, stepping up, showing up, being seen and being heard. It takes courage. Then turn your attention towards fear, the part of you that sometimes feels scared. Open yourself to the possibility of seeing what this part of you might look like. As you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, remind yourself of what the scared part of you says when it feels scared. What are the words when you feel scared? What are the sentences on repeat when you feel scared? What are the thoughts you think, and how does it feel in your body when you feel scared? Allow fear to speak and remind you. Take your next big breath. Then turn towards fear. We're going to speak to fear and ask fear a question. Say, fear, when you feel so scared, in that moment of feeling so scared, what is your deep desire for me? What is your deep desire for us? Take your next big breath. Thank fear for showing up, stepping up, being seen and being heard. It's a very brave thing to do. The point of this exercise is not to try and fix anything, to find a solution to anything, but to ask sadness, what are you afraid will happen? And we'll understand sadness is motivation for feeling sad. To ask anger, what is it that you really want when you feel angry? To understand where that anger comes from and what is it that it would like to change. And ask fear, what is your deep desire for us? Every part of us is trying to be helpful. It's trying to prevent something bad from happening, or it's trying to get us to something that would be better. Every part of you has been trying really hard to help you cope. Are you able to hold them all? We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath-holding space and into the next. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel how softness settles in every part of your body. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. I'll remind you again of Mark Epstein's message for us this morning. He says the freedom that the Buddha envisioned for you does not come from jettisoning imprisoning thoughts and feelings. It doesn't come from abandoning the suffering self. It comes from learning how to hold it all differently, juggling them rather than cleaving to their ultimate realities. He says, the willingness to face traumas, be they large or small or primitive or fresh, the willingness to face it, that is the key to healing from them. They may never disappear in the way we think they should, but maybe they don't need to. Trauma is an ineradicable aspect of life. We are human as a result of our traumas, not in spite of it. The examples we use this morning are probably just the simplest examples of what lives within us. And you can repeat the same exercise with anything that comes up within you. You can learn how to listen. Listen to what speaks inside of you. And you can learn how to ask questions that almost always brings answers for why it's there, what it wants for you. Sometimes this leads to very clear answers of how to deal with this, but often it doesn't. Often it only creates understanding, and that in and of itself is a gift. But the most powerful part of this exercise is, who are you being while you take a step back and look and listen and hold? Because when you're listening to sadness, you're clearly not being sadness. When you can look at and hold a space for anger to be expressed, you're not being anger. The same with fear or whatever else speaks within us. The question is then, when we are able to take a step back and look and hear and hold, in this moment, who are we being? There could be many labels slapped on this idea. It could be called being the observer, being my higher self, my true being, wisdom, my soul. Whatever we want to call this. This clearly is the part of us that knows how to do this, that knows how to hold all of this. And that's all we need to do. Practicing being this part. Practice it as often as possible, because everything we practice, we become better at. Every time you feel a difficult something rise up inside of you, repeat the exercise again. Take a step back and ask it to say more. Speak so I can hear. I'm listening. Do it as often as you can. And you're creating the habit of being the best part of you. Not because you're pushing any other part away. Simply because you're stepping up and stepping into the expression of your soul. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you to these inner children for showing up today, for being seen, being heard, and being held. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to take a step back and listen, see, hold. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning that no matter how afraid or anguished or sad or angry the voice inside might be, thank you for learning that if I step back and listen and try this, write down what you're listening to, let that part of you speak and put those words on paper. It doesn't matter how intense it feels, I've learned to trust that it always passes. Thank you. One more big breath in. Thank you for being willing to let every part of you speak, to create a space in which you can listen to and hold whatever it is that arises within you. Thank you for stepping into the best part of you, your soul, your higher self, whatever we want to call that. I don't think the name, the label is important, but you can feel when you step into that space that can hold this. Doesn't matter how sad it feels, how angry it feels, how scared it feels. Practicing stepping into that part of you that can hold a space for this. Let it be felt, let it be heard, let it be seen. And again, the only real point to this is practicing being that part of you, practicing being the higher self. The more you practice, the better you get at it. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Sunmary. Craig, a very good morning. Thank you, Charlene. Linda, good morning. It's good to see you. Anthony, hola, good to see you, man. Leanne, always so good to have you here. And whoever else I can't see right now, and I'll probably not remember who's in the background. Thank you for stepping up for your inner children. The thought that pops into my head is just, it's quite obvious really, but it's more than likely that any of us and all of us have in childhood not received all the attention that these parts of us needed. You are the person to pay attention to that now. You are the adult, and you're showing up for these children. Have a beautiful day. Ciao, ciao.